Imagine a place that you've never been to, maybe Middle Earth from Lord of the Rings or Narnia. If we've never been to these places, how do we know them? Perhaps through the novels or the movies. But the point is, we know these places not because we've been there, but because we've experienced representations of them. And that is what I study in my research, representations of people and places in fiction. To be more specific, I look at the representations of the Philippines in 19th century Spanish novels written by Spanish authors who traveled to the Philippines. We need to remember that during these times, most Spaniards probably only read about the Philippines, but it is through these readings that they were able to imagine it and create this collective idea about the Filipino landscape and the Filipino people. To be more specific about my research, I look at the representations of religion, race, and gender, and I ask questions like, how were racial differences portrayed in these novels? How was the Muslim portrayed against the Catholic? How was the Spanish Filipina portrayed against the native Filipina? So Bethanny is researching old novels about the Spanish Philippines. Why does that matter? It matters because of three main things. First, despite 3 centuries of Spanish colonization, the Philippines isn't talked about as much in Hispanic studies. And today there are a growing number of scholars who are trying to change that, including myself. And we're trying to bring the Philippines not only into our academic research, but also into our classroom. The second reason is that even though these novels talk about the Philippines, these novels actually reveal something more. They reveal this colonial narrative, this colonial story, one that was used to not only justify the Spanish colonization, but also to hide certain anxieties felt by the Spanish Empire. During this time, Spain was actually falling behind compared to other European nations. Finally, I believe that this project is important and I'm invested in it because it pushes me, and I hope it pushes all of us to think about the role of fiction within the empire and its aftermath. When we think about colonial agents, we think about military men and government officials and scientists, but I would argue that authors of fiction are colonial agents too, one that have the power to not only represent the colonial reality, but also project upon their readers these imperial imaginings that strengthen and hold the colonial power. Thank you.